Can't look at it. That's my son's car.
You've been staying away all this time?
If I go near it, it feels like losing him again.
They gave you 5 days or they'll tow it.
I don't even have that kind of money.
Then we don't wait. We start today.
I can't look at it. That's my son's car. And that was the first thing Clara said to me before I even introduced myself. Her voice breaking in a way that made it clear this wasn't just about a vehicle. Sitting outside her home, as I followed her gaze toward the car under the porch, covered in dust and leaves, I could already tell this wasn't neglect. It was something she had been avoiding for years. Because facing it meant facing everything she had lost. Clara was 92, thin and fragile, her hands trembling slightly as she held them together. And when I gently asked if she had been staying away from the car all this time, she nodded without looking at me, then said quietly that if she went near it, it felt like losing him all over again. The car belonged to her son, the last thing he left behind before his life ended in an accident no parent should ever have to live through. And since that day she had left everything untouched. Almost like freezing time was the only way she knew how to hold on to him. The time outside doesn't stop, and what she saw as memory, others saw as abandonment. The neighbors had reported it, and the city had already placed a notice, classifying the car as non-operational, which meant fines, deadlines, and possible towing. In her case, it was 5 days and nearly $900, something far beyond what she could afford on a fixed income. Before I continue, comment where you're watching from, because depending on your state, you already know how strict code enforcement can be in situations like this. When I told her they could tow it, she didn't argue. She just looked down and admitted she didn't even have that kind of money. In that moment, it was clear she wasn't just dealing with a fine. She was carrying grief and responsibility at the same time, and neither was something she could handle alone anymore. So I told her we wouldn't wait. We would start right now, not to erase anything, but to take care of what mattered before someone else decided it didn't. As I began clearing away the dust and debris, the car slowly came back into view, the original paint still holding on beneath everything that had built up over the years. Clara watched from a distance at first, hesitant, but little by little she moved closer, until she was near enough to place her hand gently on it, and this time she didn't pull away. There was no big reaction, just a quiet shift, like she could finally look without breaking. By the time we were done, the car didn't look abandoned anymore. It looked cared for, like it still belonged there. When the officer returned, the situation had changed. What was once a violation now showed effort, and instead of being taken away, it was given time. If this story meant something to you, like and share it so more people can see that not everything left untouched is forgotten. And maybe say a small prayer for Clara, because sometimes God places someone in your path right when you need it most.